The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with Underdog Fantasy with the promo code SGPN to get $1,000 in bonus credits. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Get it up to $70 per month in cashback rewards when you sign up at edgeboost.bet using the promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Thursday morning, March 27th, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm host episode Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to break down the 8 games on the Thursday NBA card. I know that people are going to be distracted by the Sweet 16 and March Madness. You also have the opening day for the MLB, but there's basketball on, technically, in the pros, so we're going to talk about each of the games. Lonte, I'm going to ask you just being fully honest here, will you be watching the NBA games tonight, or will you be watching other sports?
Yeah, no shot watching any NBA tonight.
Okay.
No shot. 0%.
So what is going to be your go-to? I'm assuming college basketball. You're going to do baseball afternoon, and then once the games start, transition over? Or are you a multiple screen guy?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have the multiple screens. So I got 4. We'll have 4 screens. We'll have, they got the staggered tip 7:09 and I think 7:39. So I have the baseball merged in until then, and then right around 7:30, I'll take one off the screen and put it in, and put the basketball in, and then we'll just kind of rotate the baseball depending on what's happening, around the league at that time. But baseball really dropped the ball. I know that was the NBA show, but baseball dropped the ball having their opening day on the opening weekend of Sweet 16 play.
Yeah, I definitely thought they could have definitely done it on like Tuesday and just got it over with already, but whatever. It's not my problem. Either way, point is a lot of sports to talk about, a lot of games to bet on if you are interested in that, and that includes the NBA. So we'll see what happens, but there are NBA games on that you can bet on as well if you're not interested in baseball. I know Aaron's not interested. He doesn't really like MLB betting at all. So, Aaron, I got good news for you. You got basketball to bet on, and technically hockey. But anyway, time to actually get into the recap of what happened yesterday in the NBA slate. So I'm going to ask you, Lonte, did you have any takeaways? I know we had a crazy buzzer, not really crazy buzzer beater, but a crazy ending to the Lakers and Pacers game. You want to start there, or you want to go with something else that caught your eye?
That was probably the best game of the slate. I know Denver and Milwaukee was competitive up until the ending of the middle of the fourth quarter. But yeah, so a lot of injury concerns were there, and I think me and Terrell both liked Milwaukee, but of course we didn't get the Giannis news until after the fact. But yeah, I thought that Laker game was really good. Lakers controlled a lot of it for, I would say, like 65% of the game, and then Indiana kind of fought back. They lost it again. It felt like the game was like back and forth for a while. LeBron came through as I thought the Luka floater was going in, but credit to him for following the ball and easy tip in, got it off before the light went off. So I thought that was one of the more intriguing games. And Phoenix just they have been playing well, and they just get blitzed by Boston. And I think that was my dog. So yeah, it wasn't much in between there that kind of caught my eye. I know the Wizards got a win against the Sixers, so that's a positive for them.
For them, I guess. It tells you how bad the Sixers are, but yeah. I'll go back to the Lakers game for a second because I do have to roast Rick Carlisle, and I feel like that's been a common theme on the show over the years, but I got to bring it back again. The ending of that whole game with the sequence and the substitutions was just moronic. I got no other ways to describe it. Halliburton played basically 3 minutes in the entire fourth quarter, and he had 16 points and 18 assists. And on top of that, he ended up having a layup, and he had an and one in 2 possessions in the final 2 minutes. They pulled him because of defense. So the point is, they got the and one, made the free throw, Lakers called timeout. They kept Halliburton on the bench because he's not the greatest defender. They had a timeout in their back pocket and a foul to give. So they ended up keeping Halliburton on the bench. They got a stop. And then instead of using a timeout to get Halliburton back in the game, they kept him on the bench and ran some really awful possession, which resulted in a Mathurin double clutch three-pointer at the top of the key. And then the Lakers got the ball and they scored and they won the game. So it didn't make any sense to me because Halliburton had 16 points and 18 assists. He just had 5 points in 2 straight possessions, and then you kept him on the bench for your most important offensive possession of the game with a timeout in your back pocket. And you could argue, well, Halliburton's a bad defender. You wanted to keep him on the bench because you wanted to keep your defense of integrity intact. That's what the foul to give is for. You can foul to give, get Halliburton out of the game. Plus, if you actually hit a three-pointer on the final possession, you're up 2 possessions. So I thought Rick Carlisle punted the entire game. And I understand that you went on a run there with Halliburton on the bench. I get it. But he has 16 points, 18 assists, and he has 2 of the biggest buckets for your entire team to give your team the lead late in that fourth quarter. How do you leave him on the bench for the biggest offensive possession of the entire game, and then you don't even use your foul to give? Like, you messed up multiple ways in the final 30 seconds, basically, and I thought that it basically punted the entire game for Indiana. Am I being harsh or am I right? Because it feels like Carlisle completely just destroyed every type of, I'd say, execution decision that he could possibly make in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. I mean, late game execution has always been kind of one of his Achilles heels, I would say. Whether that's back at his first stint with the Pacers or now, or even in Dallas at some point.
Yeah, we saw it last year in the playoff series against Boston, but I just couldn't believe. And then he went into the post game and he talked about it with the foul to give and everything, and I'm just like, what are you even talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's completely fair. I mean, but we see some of these coaches just try to be too smart or try to outsmart themselves a little bit too much, and then this kind of thing happens. So.
Yeah, but that was the main, of course, talking point. LeBron was really bad for the first 3 quarters, and then he eventually figured it out as he had a pretty good fourth quarter, including the game-winning putback layup there. Luka defensively, though, got absolutely torched the entire fourth quarter, so keep an eye out for that moving forward. I know Reeves left early. He came back too, but that was definitely the game of the night. You mentioned that Denver ended up beating Milwaukee. You ended up seeing no Giannis, and Jokic came back. Had 39, 10, and 10. So welcome back, Nikola Jokic. Besides that, you ended up seeing the Clippers win after a really bad first quarter against the Knicks. The Knicks are the worst ATS team in the league on back-to-backs. They are now 2-10. So I shouldn't be shocked because Thibodeau does love to play his starters a lot of minutes, and he doesn't believe in rest. But the Knicks, if you want to fade them, wait for second night of back-to-backs. They are really, really bad. I had the Clippers, and they got the job done there easily as the game went on.
Me and Terrell did too.
Yeah, but the Knicks are just really bad on back-to-backs. And after a great first quarter, they fell off a cliff. So anyway, saw the Celtics win by 30 with no Tatum. The Celtics are really good right now. I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to win the East, because that would be a very fun series between them and the Cavaliers. But damn, Boston looks really good. And you saw the Nets punt the game against Toronto. They lost by 30. And then you had the Wizards winning, as Philly fans rejoiced after getting closer to a top 6 draft pick. Anything else you want to add from the NBA card yesterday, or any news you want to talk about?
Not really. Clippers, man. I think they're really good. Yeah, they're really good, back in. They always do it. They always do it. But yeah, they look good, man. They started off a little bit rocky, and then they kind of Harden came alive, took control, and then Powell hit some big shots. Kawhi looked really good. I mean, they look extremely well defensively in that second half. But yeah, man, the Clippers look really good in that second half.
Yeah, we'll see how they do in either the play-in or the playoffs, because right now they look dangerous. But I do want to ask you one question to officially wrap up yesterday's coverage. Who do you think was more upset with the LeBron game winner? Pacers fans, Rick Carlisle, or Stephen A. Smith?
Probably Stephen A.
I think I'd probably agree with you, but I just wanted to ask because that was definitely I'd say debate that was going on in my head. I'd probably go Stephen A. You can make an argument that it could be like a 3-way tie there for most upset. But anyway, time to get into the actual breakdown of the 8 games here on Thursday. Before getting into the games, though, I want to remember once again that you can join the SGPN app, or you could download if you want to get all of our picks and podcasts in one location. Once you can download the app for free wherever you do get your apps. Anyway, time to start off with the first game on the slate. You have a game between the Cavaliers and the Spurs. Home game for Cleveland. They're favored by 14.5. The total is 236.5. No Mobley in this game. Yet Cleveland's expected to bury this team. So look at the injury report. Jerome's questionable. You have Mobley, who's out. For the Spurs, they have Bassey, who's out once again. So for this matchup, once again, the main story is no Mobley. Does it matter? Probably not. But for the sake of this game, do you want to give the Spurs a fighting chance in this game, or do you think they get boat raced?
I think they get boat raced. Absolutely boat raced. I mean, the Mobley thing is concerning a little, but they should be able to attack the paint. There's no rim protection, so they should live downhill. They're getting Donovan Mitchell back. Garland's been really good without him in the lineup, but I think they should live at the rim. They're coming home from a road trip. They won and covered the last two after that small skid, 2014, and won ATS at home. I mean, the number I think is probably right on, but just the way things play out, I think Cleveland can bury him. I mean, even if Cleveland goes to their bench, I mean, their bench is awesome. They can play up to 12, 13 guys.
Yeah. But once again, Jerome might not play too, so that does factor in the bench, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I still think I have enough to cover him. I mean, it kind of negates it with Mitchell coming back. So I like the Cleveland team total over 127, and I'll lay the points with Cleveland here.
Yeah, it's always a weird spot, though, when you have a long road trip and you're coming back home, because the last time the Cavs played at home was actually that loss to the Magic, where they choked away the double-digit lead. They've had, I believe it was 6 straight road games, or 5 straight road games after that. So, have not played many home games, but they also have not been great at covering at home recently. In fact, their last couple home games, lost to the Magic. They beat the Nets by 5. They beat the Heat by 5, and they beat the Trailblazers by 4. Beat the Grizzlies by 6 as well. So they really have not covered a home game spread of this magnitude in a long time. I might actually take San Antonio plus the points. I'm probably not going to bet this, but I think 14.5's a lot. I think Mobley is a very solid player for what this team wants to do. We know defensively, he is an integral piece to their defensive identity. I could see a lot of points in this game. It wouldn't shock me if you see a bit of a track meet breakout. So I like the over in this one, but I do think that the Cavs are laying this big of a spread. Yes, they were kind of in, say, a rut, and they got back on track recently. But I do think the Spurs can keep this game somewhat close. I'm going to disagree. I'll go Cleveland by like 7. But I like the over. I see points in this game. But I think my favorite play was actually a prop. I like Jared Allen double-double in this game. So minus 125. You have no Mobley. When Mobley doesn't play, he dominates the boards, as he should, as Cleveland does go smaller. So I like Jared Allen double-double. But I think I am going to give the Spurs a chance to keep this game somewhat competitive, as I have the Cavs winning by like 7. That's kind of where I'm at for this one. I'm moving on to the next game. You have the Mavericks taking on the Magic. Magic are laying 7.5. For the over-under, you have 218.5. The injury report, you have Cole Anthony, who's doubtful for this game. Technically a game-time decision, but we'll see. For Dallas, you have Anthony Davis, who's a maybe. You have Martin, who's a maybe. You have Exum, who's out. Of course, Gafford, Lively, and Washington are still out. So, Lonte, I'm going to ask you, Orlando's kind of figured it out. I believe they are half a game back of Atlanta, first place in that really bad division, but they're laying 7.5 at home. You have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, if AD's in, he's questionable, you said, right?
AD is currently questionable.
Yeah, so if AD's in, I'll definitely take Dallas. I mean, they've won 2.
He did not play last game, though, so you can maybe look at it as a probable, but we'll see.
Right, that's what I was thinking as well. They've won 2 of the last 3. They've covered 3 or 4. Najee Marshall's been really, really good. But I think the over is going to be a good play here. Excuse me, because of the way Orlando has been playing offensively, mixed in with Dallas not being able to stop anybody. I mean, they've allowed 120 plus in 4 of the last 5, 130 plus twice in that span. They're over in 9 of their last 10, 25 and 12 over on the road. I think Orlando will be able to score. I mean, Paolo's been amazing. Franz has been chipping in. They'll be getting bench production, which Paolo and Franz both have been talking about in their pressers about how well their benches that's coming to play. Anthony Black, good contributions with Cole being out. They even got some Caleb Houston minutes, who's been knocked down like 4 threes in the last game.
Yeah,
but Orlando
was 4 for 6. Black had 20 points off the bench. He had a nice putback dunk actually in the final couple minutes.
Yeah, he's good. And I mean, Orlando I'm worried that they're hitting their stride right in time for the playoffs. I mean, covered 7 of 10. They're 23 and 17 ATS is a favorite. But I just go back to the total. I mean, if AD's in, I'll take the points, but I think the total is a play here. Orlando's also over in 7 of the last 10. And I think anything under 220 is fine to go over. Both teams could. I mean, Dallas is going to score with or without AD, but I think Orlando should be able to score as well with how poorly defensively Dallas is.
Yeah, it might be a cop-out for me, but the entire game side and total depends on AD.
Yeah, I agree.
You mentioned you like the over. I would be considering the over if I knew AD was out. Because you mentioned that, the games have been high scoring in 4 of the last 5. It is worth mentioning the one game AD played, they only gave up 101 points. So we've talked about AD on the show. I'm sure it's been mentioned in NBA discourse in general for years, how AD covers up a lot of holes defensively for teams, and how AD probably deserved a Defensive Player of the Year award at some point. If AD does play, I actually like the under in this game, because I do think that he can help clog up the middle. He's done well block-wise against Orlando in the past. I think it could result in an uglier game. If AD does not play, I agree with you, because I don't think Dallas can stop anybody. But I do think Orlando's defense has been very good lately. I think that you're looking at AD offensively, who didn't do much against the Nets, but I do think that he can help Dallas find their defensive identity again. So you're looking at Orlando's last couple games defensively, 104, 106, 105, 116 to Houston, 103 to Cleveland, which is very impressive on the road. The point is they've been playing good defense lately. So I like the under if AD plays. If he doesn't play, then Orlando should kill this team. But I'm kind of banking on AD playing, so I am going to go with the under in this one. But once again, only if AD is in the lineup. You have any thoughts on that? If AD does play, do you still want to stick with your angle? Or
if he does, I think they should be able to score. I know. And again, do you remember how many minutes he played in that? It was a full workload, right?
I mean, I believe it was in the high 20s for minutes against the Nets. He ended up playing 27.
Yeah. Okay. So that's probably about right. Yeah. But I mean, I think Dallas will be able to score as well. I mean, they've had no issue scoring on anybody. They just, they can't stop anybody, which is prevalent to their being over in 9 of the last 10. But yeah, I still like the over, and even if AD plays. But if AD does play, I'm more reluctant to take the side versus the total. But I do think the total is still good either or.
Okay. Either way, though, before we get into the rest of the card for the Thursday games, want to remember what's they're brought to you by DraftKings, because if you want to bet on college basketball, March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen, and you can bet the unexpected every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. They have live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays. DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, that's fine too. There's a special promo for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus instantly. As a reminder, when you do want to bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code SGP. Code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is the home for AI picks and props. They're already helping you dominate March Madness, and you can build a custom model very easily, and it's very profitable to do so. They also have models for NBA, for golf, and coming soon MLB. A reminder, though, you can sign up for a free trial today at sportsgamingpodcast.com. There's Rhythm, sportsgamingpodcast.com. There's RITHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished breaking down the first couple games for the Thursday card. Time to move on into the next game. Just at the Mavericks game, time to move on into the Pacers and Wizards game. Both teams on a back-to-back. Indiana's been atrocious in back-to-backs ATS for years, but this is the Wizards we're talking about. Awful win. So, it's pretty rare when you're looking at the Wizards winning back-to-back games. Now, for this game, you have the Pacers favored at 12.5, the over-unders at 233.5. Lonte, I'll ask you, we know Indiana's bad on back-to-backs, but this is the Wizards. Where do you want to go for this one?
Yeah, so interesting to see what they do as far as, Tyrese playing and also Siakam and some of the stars, because Carlisle was mentioning he wanted to lean a little bit more into his bench. I think he played like 12 guys last night, or 11 or 12 guys last night.
Halburn better play. They sat his ass on the bench for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, if you look at the last game, it took overtime for them to beat Washington, 134-130, and Indy was laying 10 in that game. This was last.
I think Poole had 42 points on that.
He did. I think he had I think he had 41 or 42, something like that. But I mean, Indy has. I mean, despite losing last night, they were one of the hotter teams, like as far as winning. They just weren't covering numbers, and like they had covered. They had won like 5 or 6, but they haven't covered. They were 2-7-1 ATS in the last 10. They have not covered versus Washington in 4 straight. But I do think they can get it done here. I mean, Washington's coming off a win, so they're going to come back down to earth a little bit, especially being at home. They're returning home from that road trip as well. I like the over 264 in the first meeting. It did take overtime, but I think it was going towards being over before.
I think it was 240 in reg in that one.
Yeah, so yeah, that's fine with me. Indy's an over team on the road. Their depth is similar to what we were talking about with what's the team that we're talking about with their depth? With Cleveland. I think they got a good enough depth to be able to score without Tyrese in the lineup. But I think Tyrese will play here. And they want to get that bad taste out of their mouth. But Washington is over in 6 of the last 10, 20 of 35. They're over at home. They've allowed 120 plus in 3 of the last 5. So Indy's going to push the pace. Should be able to score at will, especially at the rim. I think they'll be able to get to the rim and score in that mid-range area as well. So I like Indy minus the 12. I also like the over 234.5.
Yeah, so I agree about the over. I think I'm going to disagree with you about the side because the Wizards have randomly been, I'd say, tolerable. I'm not going to say good because that's a stretch. But they've been kind of hanging in there at times. I know that they ended up losing to the Raptors. They still lost by 8. Played the Knicks, ended up losing by 19. Orlando, I get it. But the point is, I think Washington can actually score with this team. But it's mostly backing the Wizards only because of the spot for Indiana. When you've been that bad on back-to-backs for about 2-3 straight years, I'm not going to lay 12.5 with you on the road. They should cover because the Wizards aren't very good. But Sarr's been good lately. Props to him. Poole, we know, can be dangerous. He had 42 in the last meeting. They have Carrington, who's been good lately. Washington does have a decent amount of young pieces.
A.J. Johnson.
Yeah, A.J.
Johnson's really good.
You want to throw in George in there, too?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the Wizards might not be good, but they have a decent amount of young talent.
They do. They do, man.
I think they drafted pretty well compared to normal years. They've been pretty good in the draft recently.
Yep.
So I'll go with Washington to keep this game close at home. Indiana, at the end of the day, do I think they're going to be fully dialed in for 48 minutes? No. Indiana seems to mess around a lot. I think this game will be close for a bit. I think Indiana wins the game, but I do think that 12.5 is just too much to be laying for a team that's this bad ATS on back-to-backs. So give me Washington, but I agree about the over. I don't see any defense being played. So I think you're going to see a game get into the 240s. So I do like the over as my main thought for this one. But I'll give Washington the benefit of the doubt. Give me a Pacers 1-10 is kind of my angle for this one. But I do like the over as well for this game. Moving on to a game in the really bad division. You have the Hawks taking on the Heat. Heat are laying 1.5, and the over-under is at 226.5. For the injury report for this game, you have, I forgot to mention, by the way, that George is questionable. Smart and Middleton are probable, actually, for this game. No Brogdon, no Bay, and Koulibaly. So we'll see with Washington, but they're pretty healthy for the most part. For the Hawks game, though, Trey is probable. You have no Capella. You have no Wallace either. For the Heat, though, you have Burks. Burks is questionable. You have Duncan, who is questionable, and you have Jovic, who is out. Do want to ask you, though, for this game, because Miami won their Super Bowl, ended up beating Jimmy Butler in the revenge game. Do you think they duplicate that, or do you think that was a one-off? Because we know Miami was struggling in basically every game before that. Atlanta, though, has not been great. They've been better lately against bad teams. Does Miami count as a bad team? Probably. But they're not, like, basement bad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, like, do you want to lay 1.5 with Miami, or do you want to blindly take Atlanta in what feels like a coin flip?
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip game. I think Pick'em is probably the right number. I mean, good letdown spot for Miami after their, like you said, their Super Bowl win. They've covered 4 in a row. Atlanta's covered 4 in a row. Atlanta's actually covered 7 of 10. They're decent. They're 2 games above 500 covering on the road. They match up pretty well with Miami. I mean, obviously, being in that same division, they played each other 3 times already. Atlanta's got the best of them. They won 2 out of 3 straight up.
The last meeting, I remember Miami just went crazy from 3, and Atlanta had no chance.
Right. Which is an outlier performance that we probably won't see again. So that's why I'm leaning. I'm going towards Atlanta. Atlanta's a tricky team for me to figure out, man. It's just hard for me to handicap their games. But Miami, like when it looks good, it looks good. But when it's bad, like that losing streak that they had, even they had some times where they just can't close out games, and we got a close spread here. So at the end, kind of trust Trae Young a little bit more than I trust anybody on Miami to close out a game. So I'll go with Atlanta with the plus money on the money line.
I think I'm going to agree with you about Atlanta, but I don't feel good about it at all.
Yeah, me either. I don't feel good.
Atlanta was in such a weird spot over the past couple of months because the deadline came around. They don't have their own draft pick. And they're like, you know what, we're going to trade away DeAndre Hunter. And it's like, all right, you want to trade away your best 3-and-D guy? It's like, all right, Jalen Johnson's out for the year. Capella's injured now. And we're just going to be on a potential run to win the division anyway with George Niang and like with Ricochet playing serious minutes and Dyson Daniel being really, really good. And it's like, all right, sure, yeah, why not? We'll see what happens. But now Atlanta might win the division. So props to Atlanta for actually being competitive. I thought after trading Hunter, there was a chance this could go sideways because I don't think anybody would guard anybody in their entire lineup. But Ricochet has been good, especially as a rookie. And, of course, Dyson Daniels is going to set the, I'd say, modern steals record at this point because he's just an absolute monster defensively. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm hoping that Miami just got up for one game. They beat up on Butler and Golden State. They won in convincing fashion. And now they're only laying 1.5. I think it's a great spot for Miami to have a letdown emotionally. And I think that Atlanta can sneak in there and get a win. Give me Atlanta, assuming Miami does not go bombs away from 3 again. Duncan Robinson, though, has been very good for this team all season. He might not play. So I think that is actually an important factor, especially for Miami, who does not have, I'd say, many three-point options. Burks thinks he's an option. He's not been very good recently, but, you know, he still shoots them.
Yeah, he'll have a good game in a play-in. Watch. He's due for one. He's always good for one game in a big spot.
I mean, Hero in general, we know, has been an all-star this year, but has he been good lately? Not really.
Yeah,
they don't have many shooters that you really trust on this team. So I feel like that's a problem. Wiggins has been injured, but he can shoot a bit. But I think Atlanta can trade 2s for 3s, and I do think that Daniels can be put on probably Hero in this game. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
I mean, you can counter and say Mitchell might end up on Trae Young.
They probably just rotate him. Yeah, they'll probably rotate him.
Point is, though, I'll go with Atlanta. I think it's a coin flip game. Give me plus money, basically, for this one. But anyway, point is, I am going to go. By the way, I see JT mentioning that he hated Atlanta last year. They went under their win total. Today, they're going to go tonight, they might go over their win totals. I gave out the over on their win total with Sean
I think
Kramer,
I did too. Yeah.
Only because they did not have their own draft pick. So I thought everyone would be tanking, and they were not allowed to tank. That's the only reason why I picked Atlanta team total over, or win total over. I can't stand this team year in, year out, but I thought it was a good spot for them. I think they are about 1 or 2 wins away from going over. Anyway, moving on to the next game for this one. You have the Lakers on a back-to-back against the Bulls. For this one, the Lakers are laying 2.5 on the road for some reason. The over-under's at 234.5. We saw them play about a week ago, and the Bulls were still scoring. I forgot what they scored, 146 in that game, I think?
Yep, exactly, 146, 115.
Yeah, so the Bulls won by 31 when they played about 5 days ago. Giddey had an almost quad-double. He was 2 steals away from a quad-double, and I think Kobe White had like 37. So I'm going to ask you, because blindly I like the Bulls, who have been really good lately, and they're healthy, with Vucevic being back. For the injury report, right now you have nobody listed besides Kleber for the Lakers. Would it shock me if LeBron sat? No. Would it shock me if Luka sat? No. It is travel. They did play in Indiana yesterday in a pretty crazy game. Do you think, first of all, the Lakers should be favored in the spot? Second of all, do you think LeBron and Luka are going to play in this game?
Well, that's the big question, and that's why I'm kind of steering away from it because it's a lot of uncertainty. I would see one of them, maybe LeBron, not playing. Yeah. Just because he's coming back from that injury. I think Luka probably will play, but if both don't play and I had to choose one that I think sits, I think it would be LeBron and maybe Rui as well. But yeah, it's just too much.
I like Chicago anyway, because Chicago killed them when both of them played in the first meeting anyway.
Yeah, and you can. I guess the counter to that would be, the Lakers are in for a little revenge spot, like quicker revenge spot, but I mean Chicago has been great. I wanted a little bit more points with Chicago. I mean, I guess that first matchup and what they've been doing. I mean, they covered 9 of 10. They're 8-2 straight up.
Kobe's great.
Yeah, Kobe White's averaging 31 in his last 10. I mean, they've been playing really hard, really good. I mean, just credit to him for getting Levine out of there, letting Buzelis kind of come into his own and been playing well. Vucevic has been playing okay since he's been coming back. So I do think Vucevic can have a big game here. I want to take the points, but honestly, if both of those, if LeBron and Luka both play, kind of think the Lakers can kind of squeak out a close one here.
They could, but I was not impressed with the Lakers last night. They won the game despite doing everything wrong down the stretch, and they ended up finding a way to get the job done.
They dominated about like certain pockets of the game, but I get what you're saying.
No, they did. That's the point, though, is that defensively they got torched the entire fourth quarter. And if you give up 146 and you can't really stay in front of Giddey or White, I think it's a really bad matchup for the Lakers, actually. I'm going to go with the Bulls in this one. I think they've played well. Props to Billy Donovan. If I'm going to roast coaches for messing up, I got to praise coaches for doing well. Done a great job with this team. They were supposed to tank. The Bulls decided, you know what? The entire Eastern Conference at the bottom's tanking. We want the play-in spot. And they have been one of the hottest teams in the league. You said they've won 8 of their last 10. They're 9-1 ATS in the last 10. Billy Donovan's done a great job with this team. And Vucevic was injured for a decent stretch there. And he came back. So I actually like what the Bulls are doing. And the Lakers, despite winning yesterday, I thought left a lot to be desired. I feel like the Lakers are a team that can definitely beat up on any team. But defensively with Reeves and with Luka and LeBron on a back-to-back, I mean, the Bulls killed this team. Just the Lakers couldn't stand in front of anybody on this team about 5 days ago. Give me the Bulls in this one. I like Bulls team total over in this game. They can score 120 easily as far as I'm concerned. So I'll go with the over for the Bulls team total, but I like them at home in this game. Give me the hot team, getting plus money to get the job done against an old Lakers team on a back-to-back. Anything else you want to
add? No, but this is a good point right here in the chat about them playing Memphis on Saturday. That's a good spot. So I can kind of see. But I kind of want to stay away from the game until I can see. But if both LeBron and Luka play, I'm going to be on the Lakers. I know that for sure.
Fair enough. I think if LeBron and Luka play, I'll just take Bulls team total over anyway, because I don't trust either of them to guard on a back-to-back. So I like the Bulls to use the pace, potentially run them out the gym for the second straight time, and I think the Bulls have some value. Moving on to the next game. Speaking of the Grizzlies taking on the Thunder. Thunder laying 9.5. The over-under is at 237.5. Joker had a triple-double last night. Shea to win MVP still minus 1,500, so pump the brakes on Joker MVP. But for the injury report here for this game, Grizzlies are still without Ja. They're looking at Bagley being out as well, who you probably did not realize was on the Grizzlies. For the Thunder, you have J-Dub, who's questionable for this game. Kaysen is questionable, but Shea, Chet, and Hardenstein are right now all listed with no designation on the injury report. You have Wiggins, who is out, Mitchell, who's out, and that's basically it. So I'm going to ask you, because Memphis ended up beating the Jazz after a really bad start to that game. They came out and they buried them for the final 3 quarters. But Memphis has really not looked the part recently, as they have lost 3 of their last 4 by at least 10 points. OKC, though, has won 7 straight games. They've officially broken 60 wins, and they look really, really good. I'm going with OKC. I like the Grizzlies team total under in this game is kind of a hot take here. But OKC has owned this team, whether Ja plays or not. They played 3 times this season. OKC's won by 12 plus or 13 plus in every meeting. They played in March on March 5th in Memphis, and OKC did win by 17. OKC is on the warpath again. I'll fade the Grizzlies with no Ja. Give me the Thunder at home minus 9.5. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you took my whole entire handicap. But, yeah, I mean, they've won all those meetings, 24, 13, 17. Just a bad matchup for Memphis. I mean, they can't beat good teams. They were probably going to lose to Utah if Utah didn't pull the guys who were actually
They were down like double digits, or they were down early, and then they came back and they won by like 35.
Yeah, it's like they gave up like 43 in the third quarter, 43-17. I think they got outscored. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, OKC 9-1 ATS last 10, 24-12-1 ATS at home. It's just a horrible matchup for them. OKC's actually won the last 5, covered 4 against Memphis, including those 3 this year. And they're winning by margin no matter who's in the lineup. They're still only, I think, 2 games clear of Cleveland for the overall number 1 seed. So they still are playing for a little bit of something here. So, yeah, man, I just think it's a bad matchup for Memphis, especially not being fully healthy. So give me OKC. I love OKC's team total over. They should be able to bomb. They should probably get to 140 here against Memphis.
I mean, they got a shot to. The only concern I have for Memphis, besides the injury to Ja right now, is the fact that this team offensively can't score against this team, which sounds crazy because Memphis' offense and pace have been tremendous this season. Yeah. But in 3 games against OKC, the Grizzlies have scored less than 113 in every game.
Yeah.
The Thunder have just clamped this team.
Yeah.
So I like Memphis team total under.
Yeah. And should be getting J-Dub back as well.
Yeah. Well, once again, we'll see he's questionable, but I'm hoping he ends up playing. But you have Chet, you have Hartenstein, you can clog the middle, you can punt every shot at the rim. It's a really bad matchup, as you said before, for the Grizzlies. I like the Grizzlies team total under in this game. I like OKC to cover in this game as well. Total's a bit weird because you think OKC could go crazy, but I think that Memphis can struggle as well. So I'll go team total approach instead. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at for this one. And Shea probably walks into 30 again before maybe getting pulled with a couple minutes to go. Moving on to the, I believe, second last game on the card. The Rockets laying 12.5 on the road against Utah. The over-under is at 228.5. Injury report, Amen is a maybe for this game. So is Steven Adams, and Reed Shepherd is out. For Utah, I have to mention the lineup is subject to change with this team, but Markkanen is out, Collins is out, Clarkson's out, and that's basically it. We'll see if Sexton plays. We'll see if Collier plays. Who knows? We've seen Utah do strange things with the injury report, but I know Houston has kind of played with their food a bit recently. I will go with Houston in this game. Utah has been great at pulling the plug mid-game and immediately getting destroyed. They've played 3 straight games where they've scored less than 104. They played Memphis, they played Cleveland, they played Boston, all at home. And they lost each of those games by at least 22 points. So I think Utah can maybe hang in there for a quarter, then realize, why are we winning? And they pull everyone, and they lose by 30. So I'm going to go with the Rockets. I understand they've not been great at covering big numbers recently, but I like the matchup. I like Utah constantly punting games. And I do think with Markkanen being out and with Clarkson being out, the offense should be a bit underwhelming to begin with, not to mention some minute regulations or restrictions they might use mid-game. Give me Houston, in my opinion, by 20. You?
Yeah, so that's pretty much my handicap. I like Utah in the first half and then Houston full game. If you just look at the splits for the last, I don't know, like 9 and 10, 9 to 12 games. The first half, they're playing extremely well. And then, like you said, they're just pulling guys and playing whoever, G League guys or non-advantageous lineups, I would say. And they're getting destroyed. So, and Houston's really good. I mean, they won 10 of 11. They really play well defensively. 7 players who average 12-plus points per game. So, I think they'll clamp down in the end. I think Utah will come out and give them a chance. So give me the 7.5 first half, and then Utah probably just bench everybody that matters and let the other guys get blown out. So I like Utah for first half plus 7.5.
Yeah, I see JT mentioning that Utah's at home. I do want to point out that Utah this season is a 9-29 straight up at home, but they are 18-20 ATS on the road. So still not covering, more often than not, but it is definitely closer than what the overall straight up record is. Houston, though, I do want to point out, is 20-14 straight up on the road. They're 20-13-1 ATS on the road. So it was an issue for Udoka in years past. The Rockets not being good on the road. This year, they're actually pretty good. So something to keep in mind. Moving on, though, to the last game on the card, you have the Trailblazers and the Kings. Kings laying 6.5 for some reason. The over-under is at 225.5. Injury report, though, Portland is missing a couple of guys. No Time Lord. You have no Ayton. You have Grant, who's right now questionable or doubtful, depending on who you ask. You have Kamara, who is questionable, and that's basically it. For the Kings, you have Monk, who's a game-time decision. You have Laravia, game-time decision, and Carter's a game-time decision. Now, the Kings have been getting beaten pretty handily recently, but it was against good competition. The Suns were playing better basketball. So the Western Conference play-in, I'd say, is... Would you agree, I'd say, decided pretty handily the Kings will be missing at this point?
Yeah.
Do you think they still get a shot at it?
Yeah, I think they still have a shot. I mean, just because of I think they got a shot. I think they got a shot. I like the Kings a little bit more than most, but they just this 4-game skid has not been good, especially spending at home. I mean, they're 2-4 straight up at home during the homestand. You can't do that when you're fighting for a play-in spot. Like that's
So I do want to point out, I actually didn't realize the Kings were actually still in 9th technically.
Yeah, they're tied, right? I think
they're half a game ahead of the Suns for the 9, and they're also half a game ahead of the Mavericks. So the Kings are actually still in it. Depending on how many games AD plays in the remainder of the season, I might actually pick the Kings to miss at this point, but I think the Suns should get in. I know they got buried by 30 yesterday, but Boston's Boston. They have played better recently, so I think Phoenix will find a way into the play-in. The Kings, though, are still alive in the play-in, but they've been a bit underwhelming lately. The Kings have not been playing good basketball. They've lost 4 straight. played the Bulls, played the Bucks, played the Celtics, and the Thunder all at home. They've lost 3 of those games by at least 12 points, and the one exception was the Bucks, as they lost by 6. So Portland did lose 2 in a row against Cleveland and against Boston. No shame in that. They were in good form before that. But the Kings are laying 6.5, and they've lost 4 straight by 6+ points. So I'm going to ask you, I know Kamara is a big piece defensively. You want him playing because he can be used to potentially shut down DeRozan, or just to shut down a couple of guys on the wing. I'm taking Portland. I think Portland is good enough offensively to keep up with the Kings. I know they're bad on the road, but at least they try to guard teams. The Kings aren't trying to guard anybody right now. So I'm going to go with the Trailblazers plus the points. You?
Yeah, the spot is for sure Sacramento, but the number is Portland, so kind of splitting hairs there. I mean, Portland's 2-1 versus Sacramento this year, so they've got their number pretty much, and I think this is a couple of those games are when they weren't like playing their best. So I'm gonna take the points with Portland. I don't love it, but I just think Sacramento wins but doesn't cover.
I just don't get the line. Based on current form, how are the Kings laying 6.5 in the spot?
Probably just a spot. I'm guessing it's just a spot. So,
no, but you're assuming 6.5. Like, all right, Kamara's probably not playing, Avdi is probably not playing, and you're looking at maybe Simons and Sharp, and you're looking at the injury report, and most of those guys are active.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the points. I don't love it though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Total. Maybe Portland team total over, but honestly, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it's correlated. If you like Portland, I would go under. If you like Sacramento, I would go over.
I can get behind that. Anyway, though, that's going to wrap it up for all the games on the actual card for Thursday. Before we get into the breakdown of our lock and dog plays and the Underdog lineup, what am I most going to be brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog. Because if you want to actually try to make some money with Underdog, don't forget to use Underdog Pick'em. You can play any sport and you win up to 100 times your money, whether it involves NBA, MLB, a reminder, baseball season is starting today. You have hockey as well, tennis, etc., college basketball, a lot of sports you can mix and match. It does not have to be only one sport, so keep that in mind. When you do sign up, though, for your new account, use the promo code MBSGPN to claim a special. You can first time about that offer up to 1K on cash on fantasy. Promo code MBASGPN. We're also brought by Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. You could use the Edge Boost card to avoid being hassled by every card denied at the sportsbook, DFS, etc. So your card will not be denied when you do use it. Pause cash rewards up to $70 per month in cash rewards by using the Edge Boost card. Your money saves, card's FCC insured, and best part, no credit checks completely free. When you do sign up, though, for your Edge Boost card, use the actual link, edgeboost.bet, with the promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finish breaking down every game on the Thursday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I want you to go first. What are your lock and dog picks for the Thursday card?
So let's go with a team total over 127 for Cleveland. The rim protection is not there. I like your call with Jared Allen with the double-double. I like his points and rebounds over as well. I mean, just no resistance at the rim. I don't think the perimeter defense is going to be able to stop the dribble drive or the motion movement that Cleveland has. I think Cleveland back at home after a long road trip. They were kind of down a little bit before winning 2 straight, but I think their offense comes to play at home. So give me Cleveland team total over 127 for the lock. I want to do Atlanta as the dog, but it's kind of
you can
small.
Do 1 to 10. Everything is going to be close
for Atlanta.
They never make it easy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, let's you know what? Let's go Utah plus 325 first half. I think they could stick around and possibly be leading. Take the 6.5, but sprinkle a little bit on the money line for the first half of Utah. I mean, it's been just if you just look at their numbers in the past few games, they've either led or been down by less than 7 in I want to say like 80% of those games. So I think they could stick around here.
All right. So for my lock on the show, I think I am going to go with. I had a couple options actually. I am going to go Jared Allen double-double. At minus 125. It's a great price on FanDuel. I think every other book has like 140 at this point, but Allen's been great when Mobley doesn't play. Want to point out he's been good at home as well. He's had a double-double in 6 of the last 8 home games. Spurs are not a good rebounding team, and you're looking at Mobley being out, and Allen's recorded a double-double in 8 of his last 10 without Mobley playing. He also has had a double-double against the Spurs quite frequently. He's had a double-double in 6 of his last 7 games against the Spurs. I like the matchup. You mentioned the Cavs are going to score a bunch of points. The total's high for a reason. Spurs play with pace. I see a lot of possessions. Give me Allen. with a lot of uncontested rebounds. I say Dean Wade probably starts, maybe Hunter, but you lose a bunch of size when Mobley doesn't play, which should open up a lot of chances for Allen to get rebounds. I like Allen's chances here. Give me Allen double-double as my lock at -125. For my dog, I am going to go back to the Lakers and Bulls game, and I am going to go with a player performance double for this game. The question is, what do I want to go with? Because I do like a couple of players to have solid games, either Giddey or I could go with Kobe White potentially. I like the Bulls' money line in the game, though, but it's too cheap. So, unfortunately, I do not have Kobe White listed, which is a real pain in the ass because I really wanted to take him in this one. But if I wanted to get creative here, I will go with the Bulls money line with Josh Giddey, 8+ assists, and that does pay out at +181. I think Giddey will have a solid game against the Lakers. I question their defense, especially on a back-to-back. Giddey to triple-double in the most recent meeting, and I do think that Giddey can definitely get there assist-wise, but I like the Bulls to win the game. So give me some value here with Giddey to have a solid assisting game as well. So once again, give me Giddey to get 8+ assists with the Bulls money line at +181 as my dog. Anyway, the time for the underdog entry for the actual card. Lonte, do you have any actual props? I know we can take Jared Allen again if you want to double down on it. Do you want to go for Jared Allen?
Yeah, I like Jared Allen, man. I like Jared Allen. I like.
Okay, well, staying with Jared Allen for a second though. Quickly, just looking at the price you can get on Underdog. It is a bit expensive on Underdog, so I do want to ask you: would you rather take his points and rebounds at 25.5 instead?
Yeah, no Mobley as well. Yep.
Yeah, no Mobley.
Yep.
At the last two games against the Spurs, by the way, points and rebounds 42 and 45.
Yeah.
So we'll go with Jared Allen higher on his 25.5 PR as the first option. You have anything else you like?
I like Benedict Mathurin. He's got 22+ in 4 of his last 6. They've been lining him at like 12.5, which has been extremely low. I've been laddering him to 20+ like for the last 8 or 9 games.
His points are 14.5.
Yeah, that's too low. It's up 2 points from last night, but still too low, especially if they're going to lean on kind of. I mean, he's kind of the guy that kind of starts and then doesn't start, so he's going to see a ton of minutes. So I like him higher.
Okay, and then for the last option here, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else you want to go with.
You said you like Giddey. You like Giddey PRA?
I mean, I think I have to like Giddey in general. Guy's been just an absolute monster. I thought about doing something with RA. Unfortunately, the assists, I mean, they're at 8.5 as a default, but do I want to go with something else for that? I thought about maybe going Giddey 3s because he has been very good from 3 recently, but the volume.
I'll go Kobe White 3s.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find White options.
Yeah,
I didn't.
He'll have volume. He'll have volume for sure.
His points are 25.5 though.
Yeah, that's a
which
lot.
I can't disagree with because he's
averaging 30
plus in 3 straight.
Yeah, he's averaging 30 in the last 10.
Unfortunately, though, 2.5 threes on Underdog's -180 basically, so I can't really do that.
Can't do that.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that we were tempted by. I know Jada.
What about Buzelis?
I can get behind Buzelis.
Yeah, what about Buzelis?
I like Buzelis.
Yeah, me too.
His points were at 12.5. Game against the Lakers, he had 31 against the Lakers. And I just didn't even notice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's been really good. Man.
Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll go with Buzelis. It's definitely fun. We think that he can have a good game along with the Bulls for this one. That's fine too. So once again, the 3-pick entry here for the Thursday games. We're going to go with Buzelis higher, 12.5 points. Going to go with Jared Allen higher, 25.5 points and rebounds, and we'll go with Benedict Mathurin higher, 14.5 points as the 3-pick entry though for Underdog. Anyway, let's go wrap it up for the actual card. I believe I'm back with you again tomorrow, right?
Yes,
on the show.
Yes, sir.
So we'll be back for both the NBA and for baseball tomorrow. But until then, find me on Twitter, Rush Radio. Find him on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.